Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move.
LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Final seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast, where we dive into the people, stories, and iconic moments that have helped make sneakers a global phenomenon. If you've ever told someone that you like their kicks, then you're in the right place. Before we lace up this episode, I want to tell you about the Sneaker Newsletter. I've been writing deep dives that are getting shared around the industry. Stories like the biggest failure in a century of sneakers, how MTV accidentally became sneaker culture's most effective marketing platform, why the sneaker industry cleaned house and what it means for resellers, when retail becomes fighting words and Dick's takes on Foot Locker. These are the stories you won't find anywhere else, and from someone who's actually been inside these companies. Every Tuesday, free industry analysis. Paid subscribers get 3 more posts per week, including vault stories from my 20 years, from my time wear testing products for Nike, building the East Bay blog, employee number 9 at StockX, signing up for complex sneakers on my phone, Finish Line, Stadium Goods. It's been a wild ride. TheSneakerNewsletter.com, link in the show notes. DM me on Substack for a podcast listener's discount. All right, let's get into today's show.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. We got a 2-man show going on today. I got the homie Rohit with me. What's going on, man?
What's up? You are definitely the Wonderman's mime, Trevor Slattery, if that's the character's name.
Old Trevor, who, by the way, has become one of the most interesting and most well-developed characters in Marvel, but we'll talk about that a little later. Yeah, man, but we are here. I think we're working on some new things with the podcast, like content-wise, and you guys will be able to understand that more as we keep putting out new episodes. But we're always going to do the one thing for sure, and that's rocking and copping. So, Roy, what you got, buddy? What you rocking? What you copping, man?
It's been a very prolific couple of weeks for your boy. It feels like I'm rocking and copping something new every week. So one of the things we'll talk about is the Costco Dunk, but that's for maybe 1 or 2 segments down the line this episode. But as of this morning, I was able to hit on the Book 2 Spit Irons. These are nice.
I like that one.
These are nice. And I don't know about you. I feel like this is another segment we can give people, Tales of the Hash Wall, where just the other week I was at the store that I frequent and they had a pair of those Wolf Grade Book 1s. And I was like, oh, I really like these. I should pull the trigger. But I'm like, oh, it's a hash wall. They're not going to be there. Within 2 minutes, they got picked up. So I was like, never again.
Yeah.
And I've been curious to hoop in the books. So this is what I've copped. And as for what I've been rocking, whatever the Tom Sachs colorway that just came out recently with the blue, as a restock, that's what's been my most frequent rocking because, that's a dad shoe as well as the Nike Mind episode. How about you, Mike? What have you been rocking? And more importantly, what have you been trying to cop, if not cop itself?
Man, you know what? Crazy enough, I haven't done, graciously have been gifted things from people, but I actually have not. I pulled a Robbie. I haven't bought anything yet this year. Now, there's some things on my radar, 100%. So, first thing, what I'm rocking, shout out to the homies at Ruckus. The 440 Mallard Duck from New Balance. Funny, I'm actually, after we're done here, me and my son are hitting the skate park, so I'm ready to go with those. And copping right now, man, there's a couple things I have my eye on. And one of them is I can't justify yet, but it's the Ultrafly ACG. $260 is a tough pill to swallow for a running shoe for me. That I'm going to beat up, but it is just what they've done with the relaunch of ACG, I think has been fantastic. And that shoe, the one I really want's I guess it's a white pair supposed to be coming out that has, I don't know if it's Ultrafly, but it has it's a Gore-Tex one, has ACG printed on the medial side. It looks super nice, but I just love how they're integrating ACG with the super shoe, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting because of the fact that, for better or for worse, they've partnered the ACG with this Milan Olympic, and I can't really think of any other Olympic, especially in recent memory, that I don't want to call it lackluster, but there's been hardly any pomp and circumstance. So kudos to Nike to kind of marry something that is seemingly as hot as it is during the Winter Olympics, which is ACG, because I think whenever that silhouette is done right, and, Mike, I know your son's a big soccer head, and I'm sure he appreciated the Inter Milan ACG colorway. It feels like they're trying to put that ACG rocket on anything and everything that's popping and just try to get some of that collective juice off what it is that allows Nike to kind of take these big wild swings, and knock on wood right now, it's a big hit.
Hmm. I agree, man. I mean, looking at successes of things like Solomon, Ultra, um, things like North Face, Arc'teryx, however you say it, there's a lane for this, and I think they're trying to navigate it because traditionally ACG's always been there, kind of in the shadows, for lack of better words, but now they put it in the forefront. I gotta say, this is some of the best Olympic gear I've seen in a long time. It's the Winter Olympics. Like, we don't ever talk about the Winter Olympics like that, but the things they put out, there's like this like just Sherpa with the bald eagle on the back. It sold out immediately. I see exactly why. The thing is amazing, and they just done some cool things. I'm really excited to see what they have going on there, but to really pivot but still stay Nike, something I want to let you talk about, because I know you were kind of front and center here. Costco Dunks. It was one of those shoes that we didn't think was actually going to happen. It seemed like it was an urban legend, then boom, in the words of War Machine, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, and I think one other thing as well, to try to put a bow on the corner, I think what's making this ACG thing also really relevant is they've put the right amount of NSW in it, Nike Sportswear. Like, this is as good of a blending of a style as we have, and I think that may be something that I think if we do a deeper dive on, I would love to get the other two cohort and their opinion on it, because if there's anything both Nick and Robbie especially have, is its opinions on things, especially as it relates to collabs. So if Bima is the collab cousin, we might be the collab third cousins from your mom's side that sometimes we're cool, sometimes we're not. But I digress. Yes, the Costco Dunk. Yeah. And I know I sound like a broken record, but the last episode we did was the Mind episode. And I think Nick said it best, where he goes, I've never had more people reach out to me that are sneakerheads and are not sneakerheads about this shoe. And
Yeah.
I would say that the Dunk was kind of like that for me, because to your point, it's always been grounded in that perfect blend of ironic humor that SB does so well. And in this
Yeah.
case, we're like, "Yeah, this is an April Fool's joke, it seems," because I swear, like, we only heard about this during April, and the pictures were the pictures in terms of it truly was a reimagining of a Kirkland sweatshirt. And we're like, oh, this is funny, ha ha ha. But to your point, like, it kind of disappeared very quickly, and nobody really thought of anything to say, hey, where are we with this? Because ultimately, as is the case with a lot of quote unquote great value things, do we really want to be caught dead wearing this? And in a word,
Yeah.
listener, yes, we do. So
100%.
Mike, I'm going to need you to give me some of the quote unquote outsider perspective, because to your point, I'm currently based out of Beaverton, Oregon. I was fortunate that my local Costco, which is ironically right across the street from Nike PHK or WHQ, depending on what era of Nike
Well, that's
employee you are.
convenient.
It's very convenient, but I'll walk you through what is essentially the travelogue of my day, and I want you to try to juxtapose what you were seeing, because you live in Houston. So when I got up that morning at 7, it was 9 a.m. your time. And as is the case, because I'm an old ass millennial, I turned my phone on and I just start scrolling and start doing the familiar. If you're in your 20s, you start scrolling left and right. But when you're in your 30s, the scroll goes up and down, because you're constantly like, okay, what piece of depressing news am I going to get hit with today?
100%.
So as I do that, I see a post from House of Heat saying they're live. And I'm like, okay, this could mean anything. Like, Ice could be here, or like
Anything you want.
anything you want. And knock on wood, it wasn't Ice.
Thank God.
Everybody that's affected by that, keep your head high. We're all rooting for you,
Sir.
and we're going to get through this. But it was a image of a pallet in Costco. And this was a Costco, I believe, in New York City. And the live was obviously the Kirkland Dunks. And it was crazy, because the amount of comments that were updating in real time was just like, what you call it, flashing lights of pulse notifications. Just like, boom, here's another comment, here's another comment, here's another comment. So I'm fortunate that I have a deep enough Rolodex that I reached out to a buddy who I knew was working on that. And I said, hey, are these live today? And he goes, I can neither confirm nor deny, but it would behoove you to get to your local Costco.
That meant
today.
yes.
I can neither confirm nor deny, as a famous man or woman once said. Now, that being said, it was one of those things where my parents have got me a Costco membership for about 5 years, but I was always told, you do not activate that gold chip, if you will, until you have a kid, because we do not want to come to your house and you have an industrial tub of mayonnaise that's 2 years expired and you just thought you could eat it all and you couldn't. So long story short, I am reaching out to the only people I know in my life that have a Costco membership, i.e. Mama and Papa Malhotra. And I'm asking them, like, okay, what gives? Like, can I still use this? They're like, yep, you're on this. So then it was one of those things where, as we are as sneakerheads, we start doing sneakerhead math of, okay, if doors open at 10, when can I get in line? And
Yeah.
it was one of those things where doors open at 10, and I had a appointment with a mental health coach. And I'll be the first to say, take care of your people. More importantly, take care of yourself. And so I'm like, okay, do I want to be the asshole that's like, hey, mental health coach, really like what you're doing, but I'm going to go ahead and need to scratch this retail itch. Luckily for me, and luckily for I think most people that copped, there is the concept of the executive membership. And now the executive membership, for those that do not know,
I don't know.
open at 9 a.m.
What a flex, Rohit. But
So
what a
no,
flex.
no,
Hey, by
no,
the way, I
that
got
as is quote unquote every flex that people have associated with me in my life, it is always my parents, my brother, my significant other, friends of mine. There is no flexing. I am underdeveloped muscularly, if that's even a word. I tell you all this to say, okay, now don't feel like an asshole because I don't have to cancel my mental health. Then I'm like, okay, I still have to go to work. It's a Friday, but I think on Fridays we are a bit of a ghost town where I work. So I was like, okay, let me get in line at 8:45. And if it's to be, it's to be. I get there at 8:45. And now the line is about 30 people. And I'm like, okay, this is startingly easy to navigate because my thought
Okay.
was if things are out and about on the East Coast, I would have expected this line to go halfway to Gresham. Beaverton humor for people.
But you-
That's for like 5 of you. Go for it, Mike. I
No,
I
I
talk too
was
much.
not. No. I was agreeing with you. So it's like if something is like you said live on the East Coast, there is a 3-hour time difference between you and them. The word spreads like wildfire, like because people on social media, like you say, as soon as you wake up. I am very surprised that now was it 30 people deep when you got there, or were
Yes.
you in? Okay, that's still for what I saw on the pictures of the pallets of dunks. That was a drop in the bucket. Seems like so. You seem like it was a pretty solid place.
So it was, and I mean, this is a part of the monologue, if you will, where I'll give you kind of the statistics because I think we've all read these in terms of the people that were into these sneaker was, I think of the 10 locations that got them, every one of them only got 500 pair total and there were pallets. Now, what was different was when we saw this infamous photo of the New York Costco, they just put it out in Gen Pop. So if you're trying to
Yes,
get
I
those
saw that.
car oranges, you're trying to get some free sample, you are about to throw some bows, whatever your favorite early 2000s Southern rap song about getting in a fight, like it's on and popping. But I will say kudos to the Beaverton Costco because they were smart and they realized we need to really separate Gen Pop from the true sickos of the world. So what they had us do was the sickos like myself, we were pushed to the right side of the building. The general population were to the left side. And let me tell you, the cross-examination between these two species of human were hilarious and required their own photo essay for somebody that has the talent to capture the raw human emotion that can only be seen during a retail shoe drop. Because they're looking at us like, why is somebody under the age of 55 here right now, willingly? And we're all looking like, do you really need that much toothpaste, my dude? And so we're constantly just staring back and forth at each other and we're just trying to figure it out. As this is happening, once again, kudos to the Costco in Beaverton, they're able to, lack of a better term, establish a happy path. So what they tell us is once they've kind of counted us off and then as I kind of am taking it all in, I start to notice the line is getting bigger and bigger. So I would say from 8:45 to 9, that's when the line tripled in size.
Oh God.
So that's when you're like, okay, I think I'm going to get my pair. I maybe, if I'm worst case scenario, I can size up half or down depending on availability,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get it. So as we're kind of going through that, they're giving us, lack of a better term, when you're at Disneyland and they give you the instructions as the ride is starting to go up and like, please keep your hands here. Don't reach out. And so they were like, okay, what we want you to do is stay within this path. And they've literally made like whatever the Costco equivalent of a velvet rope is. Maybe it's like duct tape.
Like
And they're
like
stay in
caution tape
between.
around.
Exactly. So as we're kind of navigating the S curve that is from the inside of the store to the display that they have, and I think every Costco had the same display, which was glass case with the sneakers, the different insoles, the shoelaces, and it was beautiful. We are going through this highly curated path, and they tell us as soon as you get it, go straight to the counter, pay, keep your receipt, because there were a couple of us like me who were unfamiliar with how Costco works. And listener, if Uncle Ro can't give you anything else, keep your receipt because that shit
Gotta
is
keep your receipt.
embarrassing if you lose it. because then they have to roll their eyes, like take you to the back room, print you another copy, and it's not a receipt. It's like a full-on 8x11.5 white page. So then you kind of have to hold it like you're holding like anytime you have the mug shots and you have to say what jail it is and what is your height. And I was like, this is how I feel right now. So we get all of that. And then the other funny thing was, like, because the proximity to Nike, like, I knew a lot of the folk that were in line were employees. And then inevitably you got a third that were resellers that were talking about how this is their latest come up. And unfortunately, that is the sign of things as a sneakerhead in the year 2026. There's a blessing and curse of it. You just hope that there are more blessings than curses, because as great of a sneaker as it is absurd to pay anything more than retail for that. And I think that has kind of become our unofficial show motto for the last couple of years. So that's
Yes.
where I was able to get it. I also paid respect to the Costco gods and got two $2.50 hot dogs to eat alongside it. So that way I could support that small up and coming business.
Got
But
you.
got to do it. And if there's one place to splurge a little and really get a bang for your buck, it's Costco. But the other thing I will say, and this was a step in the right direction in terms of how sneaker releases are. It was completely out of the blue. There was such a giddiness involved with everybody standing in line because it was very hush hush. It was not broadcast to the world. If you were on top of your shit, you could go after it. And most importantly, and this is one of those big mantras and resolutions I have, and I think you're a big proponent of this, there was no toxicity of modern retail culture. So I will pause now to take any and all questions from you, Mike, but thank you for giving me the platform to do my travel log of getting a Costco Dunk.
I love it because I tell you this, I haven't stood in line for anything in a long time. That first off, it's nice to see that it was organized, especially in the heart of Nike. Everyone who knew that line was going to blow up quick. So the fact that you're able to get in the same Costco manner as going to do your grocery shopping is pretty solid. After all said and done, how's the shoe? Like, I've heard people buy them, resell them, but I haven't heard anyone say, oh, this is a good shoe. No one's like really just kind of outright and said it's good or bad.
It is a great shoe for what it is. It is a true reconstruction of a sweatshirt. The fabric is the fabric. I think if I would tell people to tread lightly on any aspect of the shoe I feel that it is going to retain dirt easily and it's going to be hard to take that dirt off. So this is truly one of those ones, if you're going to wear, be careful where you wear it. Like, ideally, this is the ultimate dad shoe. So its natural habitat would be 4th of July barbecues, lawn mowing, weekend warrior stuff. Like, I would love to see you with your kid at the skate park. You're rocking this. And like, I feel, and I'm a big proponent of this, even though I'm not a skateboarder, I feel every pair of Dunk I own, I have to force myself to attempt to do a trick. If for no other reason, like, I get the true spirit of the shoe.
Oh, yeah. Just like, I may fail at it, but guess what? I understand what it's about.
Yeah. Much the same way of the amount of boots I've bought over the past 2 years. I try to shoot one shot with them at goal. The amount of basketball shoes I'm trying to pull up with a mid-range hezzy if I can without like aggravating my sciatica. But that is the true spirit of it. So in that regard, it's a great shoe. The details and the storytelling. I know people always kind of come back to us about this particular aspect of modern footwear. They killed this in the best way imaginable. If you see the insoles, you see the executive hang tag on the shoe, like, it is a fantastic job by all parties involved in Nike SB. Every aspect of the shoe was tailor-made and pitch perfect for what that shoe represented, and more importantly, the ambiance and the energy we're trying to convey.
That's awesome.
Does that answer your question, Mike? I feel like I don't want to leave any underdeveloped chicken bakes for you, but I really want to like talk about the fact that this is a shoe in terms of there's a craftsmanship here that ultimately I feel bad at times because Nike SB is so dialed into their messaging and their branding that people more often than not relegate them to fodder or jester sometimes because their shoes are sometimes truly out there. Not the case. Like, this is a proper love letter to being a Costco member, a Kirkland aficionado, and I can't pay them a higher compliment than that.
Well, okay, so you talk about the material. Is it tearaway? Is there something underneath there?
I don't think that there is.
God, skating in that has to be abysmal. It's going to have like this really homeless-looking sweatshirt after you're done.
I mean, that's the other thing as well. It's like, I'm not a skater. I know that there's a wear and tear. Like, and this is ironically the shoe I keep coming back to as I relate to this, because this is one that got away that I wish hadn't, was the Warritos Dunk. And to your point, the tearaway was the beautiful aspect of it.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like that burlap sacked fabric on it. unveiled the true majesty of that particular sneaker. And I think this is the opposite, where like what you see is what you get, which is ultimately Kirkland brand, as if anything else could be truer.
Nope. 100%, man. It's like, it's one of those things, like, they just have that allure. Those different things, those materials, like the mystery, is it a tearaway, is it not? Or what's going to happen? What's it going to look like after I wear it down? So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure people who built this shoe have thought about the wear and tear, put it through his paces. So really cool shoe. I like the fact that it was like kind of an old school drop where you just go up, get in line, go home. Like, I didn't hear about too much anarchy anywhere. I'm sure there was somewhere, but it didn't get the front page like it typically does. So that's the thing I'm happy about. And that, again, people who wanted it and were in the areas that it dropped seems like it was pretty decently easy to get if you were in the area. If you didn't have to drive from like hours away or states away, it seemed like if you were there, Costco, a couple miles away, as long as you popped in line before let's call it 9 o'clock, seems like you had a chance.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's one of those things as well where this felt oddly specific in the best way to what SB once was, which is truly a niche product. Like, you really had to be in the know about it. And I think as we've seen the burgeoning dunk explosion of the late teens, early 20s, like, it felt like anytime there's a new dunk, they're at the skate shop and there's a very heavy marketing presence behind it. But in this particular instance, this felt like a throwback in the best imaginable way.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So, hey, guys, Nike SB, they're not falling off by any means, but someone who did fall off in the best possible way. We got a new album drop, and I'm trying to, if you guys didn't notice, that segue was trying to be kind of Rohit-esque,
your segues are far more tremendous than mine, but I will let the listener know, as much as I pontificated, the next segment is for Mike. We're calling an ISO. We're doing the famous LeBron triangle, get the F out of the way, because Kobe's about to speak. Because, Mike, talk to me about your relationship with one Jermaine Cole out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Like, he's one of your guys. Fair or no?
J. Cole? No, J. Cole's definitely one of the, I feel few hip-hop artists I still follow. I feel like music has taken a weird turn, and you guys, I'm 36 years old. I'll be 37 this year. I'm not diving too much into new artists unless it really speaks to me, but J. Cole is, I think, a living, breathing hip-hop legend. I don't care what people say about the apology. That's a grown man moves right there. Actually, I don't want smoke with nobody. I'm cool with both parties. And I gotta tell you, if you guys had a problem with the apology, you'll forget about it once you listen to this album. Even if you're not a J. Cole fan, if you're just a rap fan, a hip-hop fan, you're a fan of lyrics, you're a fan of amazing production, this was a double album, which I wasn't expecting, and I think it has to be about 24, 28 songs. I'm trying to pull my phone
There are
up.
24 songs spread out over an hour and 45 minutes, and it's one of those things. To your point, Mike, I'm very much in the latter camp of, I'm a hip hop guy. I have a similar sensibility to you, where I realize this is a young person's genre.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying the golden middle age of hip hop, as we've seen in the last couple of years
yes.
of what feels like was ushered in by 444 by Jay-Z, and his hit kind of an apex with Let God Sort Them Out last year with the Clips, and anything Kendrick does. But this album, especially the production value, I can't speak highly enough of it. And for those of you that may be unfamiliar, let me see if I can put you on game, but I've got Professor Mike to really put you all on game, because inevitably I will misspeak. But it's one of these things where the concept of this double album is you've got the 29 album and the 39 album. And the 29 album is what J. Cole imagines him being in a frame of mind of being 29 and going back home to Fayetteville from a New York City. And then the 39 album is him in present day trying to navigate what it is to be a near 40-year-old in hip hop in New York City. Would that be a good distillation of everything, or am I?
That's the way I understood it, man. That's the exact same way I went into that, and it's just such a. It is what's the word I'm looking for? It is very aware album. Like, it's very self-aware, to where it's not a bunch of unnecessary bravado. Of course, rap is always gonna have bravado because it is a competitive sport, but it is this very aware album that is still something that I feel like that could be listened to over and over. It's not overly like where it's going over people's heads. I'm sure there's some different concepts that may, but this is an album that is made for a true hip hop fan, whether it be someone years deep into the game or someone who just got introduced to their first album yesterday.
Yep. And I think ideally for me, how I viewed this album, especially in the context of a lot of the conversations that Mike and I have are kind of done under this concept of pop culture in the sense, listener, that we're both young dads and we are very passionate about nerdy things, as you can see by Mike's background, as you can see from previous episodes of my background. And I think one of the biggest things that Mike and I have bonded over the last couple of years is, okay, what are those things that we want to pass down to our kids? And I feel like this Fall Off album is still a hip hop album, so there's very much a reason to have the parental explicit content album sticker on it. But I could see this kind of being a bridging of the gap between cultures, because to your point, you've got that in the actual structure of the double album, but then even the sensibilities of the music feel timeless in a sense that I could make the argument that what I've heard from the first album feels a lot like what you and I were hearing at the turn of the century, like from that 2000 to 2004
Yeah.
sweet spot. And
Yeah.
what we're seeing from the second album is a modern day interpretation of that, where, like you had mentioned, like there's a lyricism with this album. There's a song that J. Cole does, spoiler alert for people that are trying to go in blind with the features. He does a song with Common, centered around Common's old I Still Love Her hip hop song. And like this is a
Yes.
modern day interpretation of that. And that's the type of thing that as we go into our usual bag of how much we love storytelling across the Sneaker History Network, they get it right. They get the details right. And for guys like us, it means the world. And I will levy the commentary that I was never the biggest J. Cole guy. I found him kind of boring at times. I kind of found him I couldn't resonate with him, couldn't click with him. This is the first album where I was like, you know what? I will go old school. I will pay the $15 on iTunes and buy this album. And it's probably some of the best money I've spent recently because the music is pure. His intentions are great. And I sadly, and I hope this isn't the case, but if this is a swan song in the true Black album, what we expected from Jay-Z, then what better way to go out? Because this is
Agreed.
as great of an approximation of who this man is as a human being, as an artist, as a storyteller, as everything.
I 100% agree. I hate to add something else for your collection list, Roy, but I've done this thing now where I'm trying to collect classic albums on vinyl.
On vinyl? Yep.
So like, for example, Good Kid, Mad City, I have it on vinyl. Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory on vinyl. Lupe Fiasco's The Cool on vinyl. Let God Sort 'Em Out on vinyl. This one's going to be one of those add to that vinyl list because this is, to me, a timeless hip-hop album. Like you said, it's very... And it's funny, but now when you listen to both sides, I need to give it another full listen because, again, it's a lot to take in. But I feel like this is maybe one of the more recent J. Cole albums outside of a mixtape that has that re-listen quality. And I don't want to say re-listen like his music has never been bad, but a lot of his music is very heavy themed, so it's really hard to go back and listen over and over. But this one does have replay value in the sense of it is great storytelling, but even with a double album, it's only an hour and 45 minutes. Like, I can run that back pretty quickly and really nice, digestible songs. And again, the production makes it top tier to be able to go back over and over.
Yeah, and I think to your point as well, Mike, there is a heaviness. I'll use the example of Kendrick's Mr. Morale and the High Steppers. It's a very technically flawless album, but there are songs where I'm like, I listened to this once, I never want to hear this song again, and I mean that in the most respectful way. Like the song, and apologies to the Kendrick heads, I don't remember what the song is called, but the gist of the song is him arguing with his partner at the time.
I know exactly what song you're talking about. I listened to it once, I'm like, I don't need that one again. And it's not, again, not a bad thing, it's just, I feel like almost like mentally and emotionally, I don't need that again.
There's a heavy burden. And I think what Cole has done at the best of times for his fan base and now as a neutral, like he knows how to strike a balance in a way that feels genuine to who he is. I think Kendrick does a much better job of giving you your vegetables in terms of these heavy, anecdotal, like historically relevant, hard to swallow features. And Drake is the other opposite where he's like, I'm just giving you cotton candy all the time. Like,
hits. I'm giving you hits over and over.
And so kudos for Cole, because I think if there's anything I would say to describe this album is it's a wonder, man.
And you know what? We talk about storytelling. So again, Roy with the amazing segue. We talk about storytelling from albums what J. Cole has done. And MCU, I know people say it like every other week, but I think the MCU is back in the best possible way with Wonder Man. And when I talk about enthusiastic about where we're going with this new. I don't know what phase we're in anymore. Honestly, I should know. I don't. I love the movies. I love Marvel, but once you start putting phases and acts into play,
I'm gonna call it Doomsday phase. I don't know.
I'm a,
It's just I'm
I
waiting.
like it.
We're all waiting for Doom.
Yes, man, we're waiting for Doom, and I have to say with Wonder Man, this was the best way they could have done it because instead of giving you this looming overarching threat of which is Doom now, it wasn't something working in the background. This is a very character-driven story. It was self-contained to one person with powers, and not a hero, one person with powers. That is something we haven't seen in a while because it's always, I got to build up to be a hero. Now, we have heroic moments, yes, but it was a story of a struggling actor in Simon who kind of gets, spoiler 3, 2, 1, but is being basically tailed by the Department of Damage Control, which we saw in Spider-Man No Way Home. Same character who was after Spider-Man or Peter and his family and friends is this same agent. I cannot remember his name, his proper name in the comics, but he looks to be a recurring character as this kind of just cockroach that won't go away. Like he wants to just capture all these supers or metas. And if you guys are familiar with X-Men, he's almost like Bolivar Trask. I feel like they're going that route. The Bolivar is the guy who created the Sentinels.
We're getting very
when it came to
heavy-handed X-Men illusions. If nothing else, it's Doom
We
and
are.
X-Men. I think. Yep.
And I think that's what this is alluding to because they're after the way they're treating the people with the superpowered beings is the same way they treated the mutants. And I feel like this is really kind of leading to that. But with this story, it was just perfectly done. You have the threat of the government after Simon. You have the double agent in Trevor, who Trevor, I think, is one of the best characters in Marvel right now.
And
Trevor
Mike,
Lattery.
I was going to say, if you can just give the illusion to who
Flattering.
Trevor has been, and more importantly, who he hasn't been in the MCU, I think that goes a long way as well.
Yeah, so of course, played by Ben Kingsley. First time you see him is in Iron Man 2 as the quote unquote Mandarin. Turns out he was just an actor, kind of a struggling actor duped into playing the Mandarin, who in the MCU turns out to be, if you watch Shang-Chi, he's Shang-Chi's father, who's a true Mandarin who breaks Trevor out of jail because he found him funny and kept him in his compound like his court jester. So Trevor has seen a lot of action across the MCU timeline from phase 1 all the way to, I guess, phase 25, where we're in right now. And it's the best character development we've seen from struggling actor to kind of a double crossing. I guess have no idea what's going on in Shang-Chi to this kind of double crossing fake friend to redeeming himself to become the Mandarin again to save Simon at the end. So this full circle moment, which leads to Simon possibly realizing his heroic potential. The show itself was written so well. The same person who wrote it is the same gentleman or same person who directed, the same person who is directing Spider-Man Brand New Day, which makes me even more excited about this.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I'm so with that show being so good, I'm so excited to see this more grounded story with Spider-Man. And Roy, did you ever watch Atlanta with Donald Glover?
I loved Atlanta.
And I'm not, for people who haven't watched or have watched it, I'm not saying that Wonder Man was exactly like it, but it had these kind of Atlanta-ish moments. Again, some of the really self-aware dialogue that's what it drew me in. I watched all 8 episodes in 2 days.
And I think for me, that was the most interesting thing about it, because there are two things I want to kind of emphasize and double click down on what you said. So what appealed to me the most about this story is the small nature of it. It's been exhausting as a fan to go into every single Marvel project, whether it's on Disney Plus or at the local theater, and realize, oh, once again, we're fighting for the universe or we're fighting for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes less is more. And I think I'll make the illusion that one of my favorite series of movies within the MCU is Ant-Man, for the same exact reason, third one excluded, of everything felt very contained. People were human beings in the truest sense. I will forever go to my dying breath saying one of the greatest series that Marvel hadn't made that they should is give the Wombats like a case of the week procedural and just let them go to different parts of the MCU where they just have to do security, and then you can loop in whatever B-list or C-list villain that you want. saying all of that to say this, there is a camaraderie in Ant-Man between Ant-Man and the Wombats, the same way that there's a camaraderie here with Simon and Trevor. And they are not Greek gods. They are not the smartest guy in the room. They are two men who have their own insecurities, but in the most important aspect of life, which is friendship, they've found a partner, they found a mentor. And when one is down, the other one pushes them. When the other is down, the other one pulls them. And like that's ultimately what you want as a friend or as a viewer of the show. Is like you want a balanced approach to the storytelling because it can be so tired. Like one of my biggest issues that I always had with Stranger Things is the fact that nobody of significance ever died on that show. You would always get a new character at the start of the season, and that would be the sacrificial lamb. And everything was okay. And I get it that they're kids, and it's a very jarring thing to see a kid dying on
Yeah.
screen. But at the same time, for the show to truly be powerful, like everybody has to be on the table. And I'll use this as a bridge to, so to speak, to talk about another show that recently has kind of gone through this same concept of telling these broad stories and now zooming in and zooming down to one. Are you watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms,
No, that's the
the new Game
Game
of
of
Thrones
Thrones show,
show?
right?
Yep. And it's just,
I'm not a big Game of Thrones guy, but I've heard that one's pretty good.
and the reason why I think a lot of people like it is you don't have these big monstrous dragons. You don't have these zombies. You don't have the political intrigue as much. You literally just see, lack of a better term, a knight's origin story. The knight loses
Okay.
his mentor in the very first 2 minutes of the first episode of the first season. And he is trying, similar to Simon and Trevor, I would say, he's trying to figure out his why and his what. And he realizes that, hey, I was raised to be this knight. I should be this knight. And it kind of tied it back to something that I was seeing in Wonder Man because, sorry, listener, this may be a politically charged portion of the episode, but you need to kind of understand this concept to understand who Wonder Man is. Wonder Man's an immigrant. I believe he's Haitian.
Haitian.
And there is a lot of, I would say, internal and external pressure sometimes as being the kid of an immigrant or an immigrant yourself as a first generation immigrant to hold up into whatever your parents' vision of what you are to be in this new country, to justify why they've moved heaven and earth to this new land to give you a better opportunity. And Mike, I would love to get your take on this. Is like, I felt that while it wasn't as explicit, you could kind of sense that Simon almost felt like I have to be this actor because this is who I am. This is how I was seen within the constructs of my family. Would that be fair or push back on that?
No, it's 100% fair. And what's crazy part about it, although I can't speak from any personal experience. I haven't had I didn't have an immigrant experience, but I knew people who did, and it's always like I need you to go become a doctor, become a lawyer, become something of this really concrete thing. And was really I loved about the show is that Simon's dad, before he passed away, was kind of the opposite of that. Of course, they wanted to make a great opportunity for his kids, and both him and his wife want to make a good opportunity for their kids. But he recognized, like, when his son needed a break. Like, that was the cool that he took him out of school, took him to see one of his favorite movies when he first moved to the States when he was a kid from the 80s, which was Wonder Man, a movie they were remaking in the show. And he sat down at lunch with them saying, hey, you were really good in this play. And, like, not like me telling you that as your dad or your parent, but I think you can do this. If like you can, I can't wait to see you on the screen one day. And once his dad passed away, his older brother became that more stern, hey, you need to do something that is very,
He's a
what's the word that I'm
disciplinarian.
looking for? Disciplinarian is like, you need to, yes, that's it. It's like, you need to do one of these very secure, safe jobs, make money so we can take care of our mom. And you can see that his whole family thought the same way because that environment in the mom's birthday party, everyone's talking, smiling. You can see that Simon felt alone in a room full of people. And it was really so his struggle to prove his worth to his brother, make sure he got to get this part to make his dad proud who wasn't here anymore. So it's just a lot of really human emotions that really dictated the show and wasn't like, oh, Thanos is coming or Doom is coming. It was, I just want to get this part of the movie and be successful to make my family proud.
I mean, not only that, one of the bigger reveals, and once again, spoilers in 3, 2, 1, is there's a specific episode where there's a journalist that comes aboard to interview Simon. And as is the case whenever you read these magazine profile pieces, inevitably there's a commentary that's provided by your friends and family. And one of those heartwarming moments, as much as you can have a heartwarming moment in a show like this, is the fact that Simon is kind of dreading what did his mom and his older brother say about him, because he has this perception of how he is interpreted by them. And to Mike's point, it's all done under this guise of, okay, is he kind of the black sheep of the family because he's doing this acting thing while everybody else is doing a more traditional 9 to 5 or is retired. And one of the heartbreaking moments in a good way, because sometimes your heart can break in a good way, is because your faith in humanity gets restored, is how complimentary the mom and the brother are to Simon and his progression. And it's one of those moments that sometimes you need that fuel. And Mike mentioned this, and I really agree with this comment of, we often get told by our parents, like, oh, hey, you're really good at this, you should do this. And they always have to preface it with, I'm not just saying this as your parent, but unfortunately we only interpret it as being said by our parent. But if nothing else, listener, like, this is a justification. Like, check in on your people, tell them what they're great at, because you don't know how that tiny piece of encouragement can go towards being a pebble in the ripple of their origin story, and whether it be a doctor or a superhero or everything in between, or a podcast host.
If you haven't watched it yet, even though we spoil some things, I think you still will get some great enjoyment as just a great TV show. Not a superhero show, but just a great TV show. But yeah, man, Roy, you got any final thoughts for us before we finish up?
Nope. As always, I would be remiss if I didn't embrace my inner Nick Engvall and say, hey, if you like this last 40 minutes, please like, rate, review, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Sneaker History. Mike will give you his credentials. If you're nice, I'll give you mine. But we really appreciate the listenership. And if you're bored and you have 5 minutes to spare, and I know we have a very creative fan base, leave us that all-important iTunes review, because it can go a long way. It can be that same ripple that we were talking about. But other than that, always nice chatting it up and chopping it up with you, Mike. How are you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, man. Of course, you guys find us here at Sneaker History all the time. Find me, Instagram, X, whatever that thing is, TikTok, and MadWatcher789, and YouTube, still Mike Guillory. So same place, different day, man. Roy, be nice and let the people know where you're at.
I think at this point, I wrote M13 on Instagram. I'm off that X narcotic. I'm on Blue Sky, which very much feels like a nicotine patch of social media, but we're all working on each other. But without any further ado, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace, everybody.
Hey, Nick here again. Before you take off, I want to thank you for listening to the Sneaker History Podcast. If you want more insights into the sneaker world, I've started a newsletter called the Sneaker Newsletter to share my knowledge of over 2 decades experience working in the footwear industry. You can find the link below or go to thesneakernewsletter.com. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to be on the receiving end of some appreciation. Thank you for all the support, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.